Hey, what's up, everybody? Coming at you from Koh Samui, Thailand. Just finished up a nice little swim here with Frankie, my flamingo. And basically, what has been happening is in this video, I want to share the good, the bad, the ugly of living overseas. So, after a decade, I spent more than 15 years abroad in more than 107 different countries. And I want to break down what it takes to live this lifestyle, the sacrifices you have to make, and also the perks of this. So, these are going to be things that I've never talked about, not in my book, not in my TED talk, or anywhere else online. So you're going to want to stick around for the entire video because there's going to be some gold in this one. Let me dry off. I'm going to go into my office and get changed, and then we'll go ahead and kick things off.
Now that I'm dried off, back in my office, there's one important thing you need to know about this video is one of these tips and one of these secrets is something I use to save more than $40,000 every single year just by living overseas. And it's going to be one of these secrets that you're going to want to stick around for the entire video. And one last thing before we dig in, if this is your first time seeing me or if you haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button for new videos on how to earn from anywhere. Now, one of the good things about living overseas is the quality of life improvements. Did you know that more than half of Europe lives on less than $2,000 a month and they have a higher quality of life? Meaning if you're making over that amount and you just move overseas, you're going to have a much higher quality of life. And that's just a good example of what it's like. You can be more strategic about the country you want to live in. You can increase your savings, increase the amount you invest. And by taking one 10-hour plane trip overseas, you can save and retire earlier, meaning it can save 5, 10, or even 15 years of that hard work in the US just because you go overseas on a short 10-hour plane ride. Now, I know what you're thinking. I spend more when I travel. I've been to Europe and I spent so much money. Well, that's because you were traveling at the most expensive cities in the most expensive time of the year and you're staying on a short-term basis. There's a lot of different markets. There's the tourist market, there's the expat market, and then somewhere in between is kind of the local market, which is usually going to be a lot cheaper and a lot better deals. So what you need to do is figure out, hey, what are the actual local prices that are being paid for rent, for income, for all these other things? And essentially what you need to figure out is even if I'm paying 10 or 20% over the average local sort of income and expenses, I'm making double or triple that, you're going to have a lot more bandwidth to have a good lifestyle abroad. You're going to be able to access those local markets, save more money, and still have a really good benefit to doing this. So living overseas in Europe, you can really live a good lifestyle in just about every tier 1 city. This is going to be capitals like Madrid, Barcelona, or tier 2 cities like Valencia or Alicante. If you live outside of the city a bit, you're going to save a lot of money. Or if you just live in a tier 2 city, it's going to be a lot more affordable. And typically the more east you go in Europe, the cheaper it's going to be. And then there's going to be a lot of good value destinations in South America, Central America, and over in Asia. I personally prefer Asia and Europe because I think it's the highest quality of life, for the highest safety, for the best sort of life that I want to live. And it includes all the things that check boxes in my life. Now, that's a lot of good stuff about living overseas, but one of the most frustrating things about living overseas or living abroad is just how complex simple things can be. Setting up a bank account, getting a phone number, finding a place to live, just all these things that are a lot easier because you're used to the system. If you're back in America, you know the language, you know the process, or if you don't, you know people who can help you out pretty easily. But when you go overseas, all that stuff becomes a little bit more complicated and complex. It's a new system, new people, new language, and a whole new structure that is going to have a little bit more of a learning curve. So simple things can be a little bit more frustrating, whether that's getting a longer term visa, getting a rental contract, or just figuring out a new tax situation. Those sort of complexities can really add up. And again, it's going to really change country by country. Some countries are actually way easier and more simple than the United States. They have way less bureaucracy and everything's a little bit easier to actually go ahead and figure out. But some countries aren't. Some countries are going to be a lot more complicated. And if you don't know the language, cultures, and sort of process, you're basically going to have to outsource that to somebody who does. Now, let's talk about a great part about living abroad, and that's being able to live a life of adventure. Yeah, the tax structures and the visas might be a little complicated, but everything else is so exciting. Life abroad is completely new. New restaurants, new food, new people, new places, new experiences, and everything is going to be a little bit more adventure. Getting lost in an old medieval town is so much fun, and discovering a hidden cafe, running into somebody who you've never met and is so interested about your story, your background, and just becoming a little bit more of an open person to talk with, these are the discoveries that make life abroad so exciting. This is what freedom abroad gives you, the freedom to build a life of your dreams without the constraints of what's normal from where you come from. You essentially have a blank canvas to build it and paint your life in any way you want. Back home, there's a script, there's kind of people pushing you in certain directions, there's certain cultural expectations, but when you're abroad, you're able to really follow a new culture. And again, you're going to kind of have a few exceptions because you're a foreigner. You can kind of do what you want to an extent. You still need to be polite, respectful of the culture, and follow local laws. But again, if you're doing something a little bit more taboo, a lot of times people will overlook that because you're a foreigner. They might laugh at you, but again, they'll likely add an arm of extension. And most countries are very welcoming to foreigners, and they understand that their cultural background's going to be a little different. As long as you take some time to understand the local languages, the local culture, and just put in a little bit of effort, a very small amount will go an extremely far way. All you have to do is understand, be polite, be respectful, and understand you're a guest in somebody else's country. If you go in with that mindset, you're going to do really well abroad. You're coming into somebody else's home. Take off your shoes, show up with a glass of wine and a smile, and everyone will be happy to have you there.
If you guys like that part, you're gonna love this. I'm giving away my best-selling book for absolutely free, and here's how you can get the audiobook in just a few seconds. Inside this book is the same techniques I've used to work abroad in paradise in more than 100 different countries. And the best part, this strategy hasn't just worked for me, it's helped hundreds of thousands of people earn more, work less, and travel the world. I'll leave a QR code here where you can get the audiobook for free with a free 30-day Audible subscription.
Now, let's talk about one of the worst parts about living overseas and living abroad. This is a part that nobody really mentions, and I've never really seen it broken down like this, but essentially moving overseas, you lose your network. You essentially have to start from scratch building new friends. And let me break down the numbers. Research shows that it takes 50 hours of time together to develop a casual friendship. You know, somebody you recognize, you chat with, you grab coffee with occasionally, that takes more than 50 hours to establish that relationship. To turn a casual friend into a real friend, someone you actually confide in, someone you call when something good or bad happens, someone who knows your story, that takes more than 90 hours of quality time. And to develop a best friend, your ride-or-die person, the person you know yourself that you can call at 3 a.m., who you trust with just about anything, takes more than 200 hours or more. Think about this, your closest friends and family aren't going to be by your side. They might be sleeping when you're awake and vice versa. So moving abroad, you're starting from scratch. And again, sometimes overseas, it can actually be easier to make friends because like you who's starting from scratch, there's hundreds or even thousands of other expats in the similar situation. They're a little bit more eager to meet people. They're a little bit more open to go outside of their comfort zone, where moving to another US city, people already have their network established. They're not as open to it. So again, this is a bad part of living overseas, but there's still some good qualities that can come from it. Another thing that can become a little bit of a frustration over time is that if you live in a hub that's very transient, meaning people come for 1 to 3 months, you make new friends, then they leave, and then a new group of people enter. This is why when you're selecting where you're going to live overseas, it's really important to understand, are there actually a community of long-term expats? And also, is there local integration? In a lot of cities abroad, the locals and expats just don't mingle as much as in other countries. Now, each stage, each chapter, and each person is going to have their own experiences, but again, they're not all going to be created equally. In some countries, there's going to be a language barrier where you just won't be able to communicate that easily with the locals, so it might take you a few years to get up to speed. In other countries where they speak English, you can show up one day, you can communicate with expats, you can communicate with locals, and everyone in between. This is an important thing to understand, and this is why building a travel hub is pretty important if you plan to do this lifestyle long term. Even though I've been to 107 countries and been living abroad for 15 years, I've always had travel hubs where I've been able to build a community of people that have become good friends. Now, the secret that you've all been waiting for, the secret that helps me save more than $40,000 a year in taxes, is called Foreign Earned Income Exclusion, or FEIE. This is not a gray area. This is a super black and white, clear-cut IRS approved tax incentive. And again, this isn't tax advice. Talk to your certified tax professional or somebody who can help you out with your taxes to figure out this structure legally. But in general, I'll give you a little bit of extent on how this works. So imagine saving $30,000 to $40,000 every single year just by living abroad. That's essentially what FEIE is. It's called foreign earned income exclusion. And if you're American, you're living abroad, this could be the most valuable thing you learn all year. If you're a US citizen or resident, you normally have to pay US income tax on all your income, no matter where you are in the world. That's just how US tax law works. You could be living in Bali, working for a company in Estonia, and Uncle Stamp still wants his cut. But there's one big exemption, a big one. If you pass what's called the physical presence test, meaning you spend at least 330 days outside the United States in any 12-month period, you can exclude up to $130,000 of your foreign earned income from any U.S. taxes. Again, a big caveat, if you're American living abroad, just because you have this tax incentive, you still have to file your taxes. File every single year, and then you can claim this FEIE. I won't go too deep into the nitty-gritty, but if you want to see more how this works, I'll make a whole video about it. Just leave a comment below. But essentially, if you make $130,000 a year or above, that whole amount would be tax-free. And then there's some other things you can add on, like a housing stipend and other sort of expenses that you can deduct depending on what your situation looks like. Now, overall, there's a lot of good, bad, and ugly things about living overseas, but in my opinion and my experience and the life that I've built for myself, the good and the great really outweigh the downside, and that's why I continue to live and prosper overseas, and I don't see any time of returning to the United States. So if this video resonated with you, make sure to hit subscribe and then leave a thumbs up. And I'm going to leave another video up here that was hand selected just for you.